So with the 2025 trade deadline over, these rosters are finalized. We know what picks teams are going to have throughout the rest of the regular season. And we also know, are they going to be competing for a playoff spot, a final spot, or are they going to be tanking to try to get Cooper Flagg in the 2025 draft? And that is going to spark today's video idea. We are going to be doing a post-trade deadline first round NBA mock draft. So what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing? I love mock drafts and you guys know that. So I'm really excited to be bringing you guys one for the first time in a while. This was my last mock draft that came out, and it's featured on the website of Fanspo. And this came out December 8th, so it's actually been 2 months since you guys have seen a mock. And what Fanspo does, it allows you to do a simulated lottery in their website, and then you can use the draft order based off that lottery spin. Since we don't know the draft order yet, the best way to try to realistically do this is to do a lottery sim. So let's see who is going to be the lucky winner of this post-trade deadline mock draft. It is going to be the Washington Wizards. You know what? I am happy for Wizards fans. They land their franchise star. And look who's at number 2. This one is even from the Atlanta Hawks. This is the San Antonio Spurs at 2. You have the Pelicans at 3. Blazers get a little bit of luck there at 4, and they've been playing very well as of late. Utah falls to 5. Charlotte falls to 6. Toronto to 7. Brooklyn falls to 8. They'd probably be a little disappointed getting the 8th overall pick with their expectations of tanking this year. The Thunder end up at 9 via Philadelphia. So yeah, just the best team in the NBA gets a top 10 pick. Chicago at 10, that purgatory spot where they want to be always. 11 San Antonio via Atlanta. 12 Houston via Phoenix. 13 Atlanta via Sacramento, which that pick is top 12 protected, so they make out right there. And Miami there at 14, that is going to be from Golden State. All right, so with a no-brainer, the number 1 overall pick, it's going to be Cooper Flagg going to the Washington Wizards. He is the best player in college basketball this year, and he's a freshman. He leads Duke in every single statistic. This man can put the ball on the ground, get to the rim, he can finish inside. He's a great help defender, a great on-ball defender. His three-point shot as of late has been off the charts. He did struggle against Clemson recently, and you look at his last 12 game sample size outside of the Clemson game, 22.6 points, 6.8 rebounds, 4.6 assists for Cooper Flagg, 2.6 stocks, 53, 45, 85 splits. He's coming along. 12-0 record for Duke up until that Clemson game, and he's an incredible defender as well. One of the best defenders in the country. It's a no-brainer number 1 overall pick. He could slide in very well to Washington, and what excites me is because of how lethal the Cooper Flagg, Kaman Maui Watch defensive duo has been at Duke this year, and now he gets to go from Kaman to Alex Sarr, and now we can have a Cooper Flagg, Alex Sarr, super athletic, super quick, super agile front court going forward for maybe the next 10 plus years, and we get Cooper Flagg in the nation's capital. Man, that would make me feel good for Wizards fans just because they've been, I don't know, kind of mid for a while, and they peaked with just a round 1 win in the 2010s with Bradley Beal and John Wall. Then they lost to the Boston Celtics, and they never have really done anything since. They've been either really bad or just like Chicago Bulls bad right now, where it's like you're in the playing tournament, but you're not going to accomplish anything, and they can get their franchise star in Cooper Flagg, who has the high ceiling since somebody they drafted probably back in 2010 in John Wall. So here we are. Funny enough, San Antonio Spurs get the number 2 overall pick. They get lucky in the lottery. Where would they go here? I mean, this is a team that needs some shooting. They don't really need to go after a defender specifically. I think they would go best player available. Now, if they were going some shooting, would they just end up going Trey Johnson out of Texas? Keep him in state? Would be crazy. If they didn't trade for De'Aaron Fox, I feel like Pop would love Kasperi Shakushonis over from Illinois as this big guard that can facilitate, set up for others. He's a twitchy, quick feel to his game. Maybe they go VJ Edgecombe the way he's been shooting the ball as of late, but I still think Dylan Harper's in line to go number 2 right now. Would this be a little interesting because of Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox in that backcourt right now? Yes, but Harper's got some good size on him at 6'6". Castle's got some good size on him. I think both of them could play off of De'Aaron Fox. And what's great about Harper, he could play a shooting guard position in the NBA. He doesn't need to be the lead ball handler like he is at Rutgers. I believe he's going to be able to play off ball, but he could be also maybe a great 6-man for you out of the gate, and then you can ease him into more starter minutes over the course of time. And it just allows San Antonio to have another great asset in their possession. He's been banged up a little bit at Rutgers this year, but he's got a fantastic dribble package. He can blow by anyone. He can finish at the rim, and he can lock in defensively at times. It's something he's going to have to work on a little bit, but I think San Antonio would be a great spot and a great team for Dylan Harper to develop to his fullest potential. So yeah, we're going to have Dylan Harper go number 2. But I also wouldn't be shocked if they liked Ace Bailey. So coming in at number 3, do we go Ace Bailey out of Rutgers? He's one of the more polarizing players in this draft, who's been a great scorer this year for Rutgers, playing with Dylan Harper over there. He's averaging 20 points. He's averaging about 2.4 stocks, 47% from the field, 38% from three, but 1 assist a night. And some of these games, man, the shot selection doesn't look the best in the world, and he does stop a ton before finishing his possessions and getting to the rim, and he settles for these contested pull-up jumpers or these off-balance jumpers, and they don't look as pretty at times. So I think I'm going down between Ace Bailey here at New Orleans at 3 or Edgecombe at 5. Do they want to maybe fill that Brandon Ingram void and get somebody like Ace Bailey, where I do see some comparisons between the two back from Brandon Ingram's time at Duke? Or do they go VJ Edgecombe? They went Baylor in round 1 last year and need Misi, but Edgecombe could be a really good connecting piece for this team. And he's been playing some of his best basketball since conference play started, where over his last 8 games, he's averaging 20 points, he's averaging 1.8 steals, 3 assists, but the three-point shot is finally falling for him. 51% from 3, and he's one of the more athletic players in this class and one of the best perimeter defenders at the top of this class. And I think New Orleans is just going to fall in love with that, and I think they're going to end up going VJ Edgecombe ahead of Ace Bailey. Don't know if that's a little bit of a hot take, but I just feel like for New Orleans, I don't know if they want to take somebody like Ace Bailey right now. I don't know if it fits their team dynamic. So that leaves me Ace Bailey to the Portland Trailblazers at number 4. I like this. I don't hate it, actually, because I don't know if Anthony Simons is going to be on this team after the year, and I hope we can finally see Scoot and Shaedon Sharpe in that backcourt. I want to see Denny Avdia and Donovan Clingan play all the minutes in the front court, and yes, I love Toumani Camara to start in between those two groups, but you can also look to add Ace Bailey. This team needs to add offense, they need to add defense in any way they can, and Ace Bailey gives you immense upside on the offensive side of the ball. He's got great size, a phenomenal ball handle for somebody that's borderline 6'10". You look at some of the centers in this draft that are 6'10", and they look so awkward and clunky with the ball in their hands, and Ace Bailey looks like a true Kevin Durant type prototype from what his days were at college. It's just like this tall, skinny guy that can handle the ball so well. And maybe Chauncey Billups is going to be the guy for the job. He's definitely turning some heads this year the way that Portland has been playing as of late. But I like them just adding some offense because they could definitely use at least an exciting offensive young guy. If Shaedon Sharpe is going to still be a little bit slower with his development offensively, and Scoot is as well. But I think Baylor could be a nice shot maker for them right away. I just don't know if they would go anybody else the way this board has fallen. Maybe they would like VJ Edgecombe, but I think with him off the board, we're going to go Ace Bailey there. And then at number 5, Utah. There's a couple guys that I do like here. I think they could look at Asa Newell from Georgia. I think they could look at Yegor Demon. There's the BYU connection with Danny Ainge and the owner Ryan Smith. Trey Johnson could shoot the lights out of the gym over at Texas. But I still think Kasparas Jakučionis is a top 5 player in this class. And I do think he would go number 5 here to Utah, who doesn't really have their point guard spot set in stone. Isaiah Collier has shown some flashes, but Jakučionis is 6'5", 6'6". He can put some weight on, and he is very, very smart with the ball in his hands. Now, he tries to do too much at times, and that could result in a lot of bad turnovers, but he could see the extra man. He could see plays develop before anybody else can. He's a good rebounder. He's a solid shooter. He has been inconsistent at times this year in Big Ten play for Illinois, so we definitely have to keep an eye on him throughout the rest of the year. But I think this would be a good chance for him to grow in Utah, and if he gets to play with Markkanen or Kessler, either way, he gets to play with some good big men to help him develop going forward. So I do like Kasparas Jakučionis going number 5 to Utah, if that's the way that this fell. So we got Flagg to Washington to recap, Harper to San Antonio, Edgecombe to New Orleans, Ace Bailey to Portland, and Kasparas to Utah. All right, so next up at number 6, we have the Charlotte Hornets. A big thing just happened with them as the Mark Williams trade got resigned. So Mark Williams is not going to be an LA Laker. Dalton Connect is not going to be a Charlotte Hornet. And yeah, I kind of like that trade a ton for Charlotte because I think at that point they could have looked at Kaman Maliwatch here to maybe take an upside at center. But I think this team could also look to add, honestly, just some defense or offense. They could look to add everything on both sides of the ball. I like Trey Johnson as maybe the best player available here. Not sure if he's the type of player they need. I think they need defenders and connecting pieces. I like Liam McNeely in that archetype, but I also like Asa Newell from Georgia, who has been consistent all year long for Georgia, and he's really gaining up my draft boards to be a potential number 6 overall pick, because I still think the top 5 is the 5 guys we've talked about, but Newell could be somebody in that dunker spot or run pick and rolls with LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller, catch alley-oops, because he's one of the more athletic bigs in this draft, and he could jump out of the gym as well. He could fly and catch alley-oops all over the court. He could be a good rim runner. just can set good screens. And that's what I think what Charlotte could use there in the front court. Who knows if Mark Williams is going to be on this team next year as well, if they're going to try to move him in the offseason. But I do think he could play out there with Mark Williams. And that could provide a very exciting front court duo athletically with Mark Williams and Asanua, with LaMelo Ball just throwing them lobs left and right. So I'm going to have Newell go from Georgia to Charlotte. At number 7, we have the Toronto Raptors. I also wouldn't mind Trey Johnson, but I just don't know if they're going to try to go that archetype as well. Maybe they're going to look to get a little bit more size in the front court. They just traded for Brandon Ingram at the deadline, which is of note. So I think I'm going to go maybe the Masai guy. High upside, Kaman Maluach. He spent time in the NBA Africa Academy. Masai Ujiri has connections over there, and he's going to be a little bit of a project player, but people expect at his peak that he could be one of the best rim protectors in the NBA just because of his wingspan, his length, and his shot blocking ability. And we don't know who the center is going to be on this Toronto Raptors team post Jakob Poeltl, and Kaman can now learn behind a lot of smart minds there in Toronto and develop behind Jakob Poeltl to be their next center of the future. So I do like that pick there. At 8, we have the Brooklyn Nets. I think it's just a little disappointing that they're picking here. I think Trey Johnson would be nice as well, but does that make a lot of sense with Cam Thomas potentially on their roster? But I'm not sure. So I think they would still just go best player available for this team as they enter their rebuild. Trey Johnson has one of the best looking mid-range jumpers in this class, and it was a bucket in high school. It's been a bucket this year for the Texas Longhorns. Yeah, there's some things about his game that you maybe don't love. Maybe it's the motor defensively. Maybe it's just what he's going to be when the ball's not in his hands. How well is he going to be able to be involved in the offense or look locked in when plays aren't designed for him specifically? And is he going to be a fine playmaker because the assist numbers aren't great this year and sometimes could have tunnel vision, but he could flat out score the basketball. I like him better as a prospect than I did from Cam Thomas at LSU, but I do think Trey Johnson would make sense for Brooklyn here with or without Cam Thomas, because I think you're just trying to take the best asset here, and I think he's a little bit more safe than going somebody like Yegor Demon upside-wise going forward. So yeah, we're going to have Trey Johnson go to the Brooklyn Nets there at 8. We have the OKC Thunder here at number 9. Yegor Demon would be kind of funny, but they did draft Nikola Topic in a similar role last year in the 2024 draft in the lottery. Could they look to get some big man help? I think they could look to either get a combo guard, they could look to add some athleticism, but I also just like them getting Liam McNeely here. Eventually, guys like Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins aren't going to be able to stick around forever, so they can look to get one of the better shooters in this class, Liam McNeely, who's playing in a major winning environment right now in UConn, a team coming off winning back-to-back national championships, playing for one of the more insane but very respected coaches in Dan Hurley over there at UConn, and he can go to OKC and just really know his role. He knows his role at UConn. He can find his role at OKC, where he's not going to be a top guy by any means, but he can now allow J-Dub, Chet, and Shea to have this great shooter and off-ball player next to them, and also a plus defender as well, and can go up and get rebounds, which is nice for somebody who I think could use or should be able to put on some weight when he gets to the NBA strength and development crews. So we got Chicago at number 10. Oh man, where does Chicago go? Another guard? They have so many guards on their roster right now. Lonzo, Javon Carter, Trey Jones, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu. I mean, yeah, some of these guys are not going to be here next year. Maybe they end up going Derek Queen out of Maryland, because who's going to be a center on this team? But I just don't see Queen as a top 10 prospect right now. He has been inconsistent since Big Ten play started. So maybe we are just going to have them go Yegor Demon and take a chance on him out of BYU. As he's got one of the best court visions in this class, he can make some phenomenal passes. He's got a solid ball handle as well for somebody that's 6'8", 6'9". And if you can utilize him at the point guard position, can he just be a Josh Giddey 2.0? Maybe, because the shot is very inconsistent right now. But I just think that's where maybe Chicago would end up going if Arturas Karnisovas is the general manager going forward. So that's going to wrap out the top 10. We had Newell to Charlotte, Toronto getting Kaman Maluach their center, Trey Johnson to Brooklyn, Liam McNeely to OKC, and Yegor Demon to Chicago. At number 11, I'm going to love this pick for San Antonio. Everybody's going to mock Ben Seraph because of the Manu Ginobili comps, but no, I want to get Con Knipple. We got to get some shooting for them. They ended up getting Dylan Harper at number 2, but here they're going to be able to snag Con Knipple, one of the best shooters in this class as well. He's learned to play off of Cooper Flagg, and his spot-up shooting has been great for Duke this year. An elite free throw shooter, plays hard, and I think could make a nice pass or two in the half court as well. And I think that's what San Antonio needs, just a rock solid thing at the 3-point line, and that could be Conkinable with Liam McNeely off the board. If they could somehow end up with both of them, if their pick doesn't get lucky into the top 4, that would be amazing. So we got Houston at number 12, a team that also could use some shooting, right? But I do think they could also look to take another guard. I'm not sure what Reed Shepherd's future is on the team as a lead point guard. Maybe it's going to be more off ball. I think they could look at Ben Seraph, or they could look at Jeremiah Fears. I'm going to have them go Ben Seraph, who also has his shooting question marks over at Ratio Farm this year, playing in Germany, but he has great court vision, great size for the modern day NBA point guard position, where you can now have that as an advantage, where you're going to have a lot smaller guards trying to guard somebody that's 6'5", 6'6", and he can make extra passes. He could blow right by you. He could finish inside. He's got a nice floater, a nice off-balance jumper, and this could be somebody that Houston could look to develop, or maybe he just ends up getting traded to Phoenix in a bigger deal eventually. But we're going to have Ben Seraph go to Houston there. We have Atlanta at 13. This is from the Kevin Huerter trade back in the 2022 offseason. Could they look to take a backup center? Maybe. I think they could look to try to complete this, like, lanky, good defensive group around Trae Young, and there is plenty of options there. There's Noah Essengay, who's playing with Ben Seraph over at Ratio Farm in Germany. You have Rasheer Fleming at St. Joe's, one of the more athletic players in this class. Or Colin Murray-Boyles, maybe not as athletic as those guys, but really locked in defensively this year at South Carolina, and has improved, I think, his draft stock from last year, where he could have been a first-round pick. I just feel like the way that this front office has operated and trying to predict what Kyle Korver and Landry Fields and that front office is going to do, I think they would go Noah Essengay, who definitely is going to take a little bit more time to develop than a Fleming or a Colin Murray-Boyles, but he could already cut, slash, he knows when to move off ball, and I think just playing with Trae Young can only further your development even more, kind of like we're seeing from Zachary Reese-Shea. If Reese-Shea was playing in Washington this year, we would not see as many flashes, but the fact that he's playing with a elite playmaking point guard like Trae Young, it can only help you. I just hope that this doesn't make Trae Young request a trade in the offseason. So we have Miami at number 14. This is from the Jimmy Butler trade, so they get a lottery pick here right now. They could go a couple different options, but I like them going Jeremiah Fears. They need a point guard on this team to build around going forward. They haven't drafted a point guard high in the NBA draft in quite some time. He's got good size to be a solid defender at the NBA level at the point guard position. He rocks a dope headband. The three-point shot could be a little bit questionable, but hey, he's going to be playing with Tyler Hero in that backcourt. His job is going to be to get Tyler Hero the ball to take the threes. He's not going to have to take that many, and he can work pick and roll, pick and pop games with Khalil Ware and Bam Adebayo. I love this pick for the Miami Heat. All right, so we're on the clock here at 15 with the Orlando Magic. I think they could look to take Rasheer Fleming. They could look to take Cam Jones as well. They need some shooting. Is this a little high for Alex Caravan out of UConn? But I also don't know if this is going to be crazy. I like Jace Richardson a ton. He just had the best game of his freshman season the other day for Michigan State, and he could put the ball on the ground. He has amazing dribble moves for somebody of his age, and he can shoot the ball very well. He hasn't hit a freshman wall or anything over at Michigan State this year, and he takes high quality shots too. He's not forcing anything, and he could be a 1, he could be a 2. I think he's going to be a good shooter right away, and probably would be the best first round pick they've taken out of the state of Michigan in a little bit. I would say better than Jett Howard. That was that reference. So at number 16, we have the OKC Thunder. They can go a bunch of routes as well. I think they can go for a little bit of defensive help here, and that could be Colin Murray-Boyles, who could maybe eventually just be that Kenrich Williams replacement for a much cheaper price down the line, because he is a very good defender at South Carolina. The thing with him is he's 6'7", but is he a power forward? Is he a center? It's a little bit too small to be a center, at least at the starting caliber level in the NBA, but he's someone that plays very hard. He can rebound very well, and he could score inside. And now we have OKC snagging Colin Murray-Boyles and Liam McNeely in this draft, getting one of the better defenders and better shooters. That is exactly what this team needs. At 17, we have Minnesota. Man, where are they going to go in this draft? Where are they going to go this offseason? So this pick is from the Detroit Pistons, but Naz Reid could be a free agent. Julius Randle could be a free agent. Is Mike Conley going to retire? What are they going to do with Gobert, DiVincenzo? This team has so many question marks in the offseason. I like them going Rasheer Fleming out of St. Joe's, one of my favorite prospects in this class, because he's 6'8", 6'9". He can run up and down the floor. He's one of the best athletes at his size, and he can also defend. But he can also shoot. He's a plus 3-point shooter this year for St. Joe's. Not the best free throw shooter in the world, but I hope it's able to translate to the NBA level, because he could be that perfect modern day stretch 4, 3-and-D power forward that teams are just going to cover it so much. And I think that could be really fun playing on the perimeter with Jaden McDaniels. And there could be some fun two-man games there because Nickeil Alexander-Walker is also a free agent and they're a second apron team. They're not going to be able to afford most of these guys to come back. And Rasheer Fleming could be a nice replacement in the aggregate. So number 18, we have the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, we've talked a ton about them at the deadline this year. They could look to go more NBA ready, or they could look to go a little bit of a project play as well. They have plenty of big men on their roster right now, and there's still some nice big men on the board. You could go Nick Clifford out of Colorado State, a solid scorer. You could go the upside of Hugo Gonzalez over in Spain. Nolan Traore, take a chance on him at 18. But I think I'm going to have them take the NBA ready guy in Cam Jones, one of the best players in college basketball this season. He can get triple doubles for somebody of his size, and he can play very good defense. He could pass well. He could score inside. He could knock down threes, and he's someone that has just a winning mindset that could help Dallas as they're trying to win a title immediately. So he could step in and contribute. I know their last Marquette player in the first round didn't work out in Olivier Maxence Prosper, but I do think Cam Jones is a lot better of a prospect. At 19, we have the Brooklyn Nets. This is an easy one for me. This is where I have the slide of Nolan Traore. They got to take the chance on him here at 19. There's probably a chance he goes higher than this because of what the potential he had going into this season at St. Quentin in France, but he's also somebody that could just get his teammates involved. He's got good size, a very good ball handling ability. The big thing for him is, will his shot continue to be inconsistent at times, or can he work on it a little bit, especially finishing at the rim? Because he can blow right by guys. He just struggles finishing at contact around the rim. So if that's something he can work on, and I think Brooklyn with Jordy Fernandez is a good place for Nolan Traore to go. So at number 20, we have OKC, just another first round pick. They had 9 and they had 16. I think they could look to add some big man depth, or they could look to go a little bit more upside here in Hugo Gonzalez out of Spain. This just could feel like a Ousmane Dieng pick, a Nikola Topic pick, somebody that is very raw as a prospect. Hasn't even had that much playing time at Real Madrid this year. And you hope at his peak, he could be a very good swing man who can run the floor, but also play some very good defense. And I think you're worried more about him in like year 3, year 4. Let him develop for the Oklahoma City Blue in the G League, and then he could be somebody when your team is maybe a second apron team and you need these cheap rookies to really make an impact. So at 21, we have the Utah Jazz. This is a trade they made with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So obviously a ton of guys that can go on the board here. I think upside could be in play. And I like Tahat Pettiford over at Auburn. He can score the basketball in a lot of different ways. He's a freshman, a little bit undersized, and I know I went Yakuchonis a little bit earlier, but I actually think they could play off each other very well. And he's very shifty, can finish at the rim, and I think just provides a little bit more scoring upside. I'm not sure if I would have them go like a big man there. At 22, this is where I'm going to the fall of Derek Queen. He's going to go to the Indiana Pacers. They need a backup center. Hey, he might be the starting center next year with Miles Turner being a free agent, and if they can't work on a contract extension for the right price in the offseason. Isaiah Jackson's out for the year. He's a restricted free agent. Derek Queen, good post game, can score inside, could probably play well off of Tyrese Halliburton, but I think just has limited upside in this league for somebody that could have been maybe a top 10 pick. I just don't know if any team is going to take a chance on that. Because are you going to really give him 15 post touches a night? I'm not sure about that. So at 23, we have the Brooklyn Nets. I like Thomas Sorber here. He, after Kaman Maliwatch, is my second favorite like rim protecting upside player in this class. I think he could be a very good defender in this league, and I don't expect when Brooklyn is done with this rebuild that Nick Claxton and Day'Ron Sharpe are going to both be on their team. So Thomas Sorber could be the next guy. And I like this draft class for the Nets. I do. Trey Johnson, we got at 8. We got Nolan Traore at 19 and Thomas Sorber at 23. At 24, we have the Atlanta Hawks. This pick is from the LA Lakers. I like them getting Danny Wolf out of Michigan, somebody this year who plays the power forward spot because Vlad Golden is at the 5. He's a little bit taller than him, but Danny Wolf is standing around 7 feet tall. He could space the floor. He has a very good ball handle for somebody of his size. He could put the ball on the ground. He's not clunky or awkward with it whatsoever. And he's a solid playmaker. He could be an offensive hub for you inside the half court. And I think he could play with Onyeka Okongwu, with Jalen Johnson, and it allows Atlanta to have some versatility there at the front court position. Staying in the Southeast Division, we have the Orlando Magic via the Denver Nuggets. This is from the Aaron Gordon trade back in 2021. One guy I like for them here, Alex Caravan, one of the safer shooters in this class as well. Been a plus 3-point shooter for the last 2+ years at UConn, and Orlando needs shooting. They are one of the worst shooting teams. They are actually the worst shooting team in the league. We got to address that in the offseason. So we had them get Jace Richardson out of Michigan State, and Alex Caravan out of UConn here with their first round picks. One more first round pick for the Nets, why not? And then they're going to have like 36 as well. They're going to have a ton of draft capital in this upcoming draft. I like them taking a chance on Ian Jackson. He can have somewhat of a 3-and-D ability at the NBA level, maybe a little bit less D, a little bit more 3, but he can definitely score the ball very well. Big thing for him though, not the greatest playmaker. Court vision can be kind of blinded at times, but I do feel like he could just provide some upside at 26 because he could put the ball on the ground, he could finish at the rim, and he could knock down some threes. And you know what? I think he could just probably benefit from being under Jordy Fernandez. The job he has done this year has been phenomenal. So here we go. Another first round pick changed from the trade deadline. Washington now has 2 firsts. This one is from Memphis from the Marcus Smart salary dump, which is really nice for them. And they can go a couple different options. We had Cooper Flagg there at number 1. I think I'm going to have them take a chance on Boogie Fland here at 27. I think that's fair where he can go. Boogie definitely struggled inside, scoring at the rim, and he's a little bit undersized as a guard for the modern NBA. But he's a solid playmaker. He's got a good-looking jump shot, and he was playing with an injury this year as well. So I do feel like that Boogie Fland could be a nice buy low option because of the injury here at 27, and you're hoping to get a little bit of value on him. But I wonder if he's going to be a little redundant from Bub Carrington of last year, but I think just provides them another good guard option over time. At 28, we have Boston. I think this could be Nee Clifford, but I also like Janai Broome out of Auburn, who may end up winning the Best Player in College Basketball award this year, the Wooden Award from Cooper Flagg. It's going to be him versus Flagg, it seems. I don't know if Cam Jones is really going to be in it anymore, but Janai Broome plays with such high intensity, and he can shoot the ball well, he can rebound very well, he can play make a little bit, and he can dribble the ball well. And I think that's what Boston can use for somebody that can help them immediately next year in the 2026 season. Phoenix has picked 29. Yep, this is from the 3-for-1 trade, so at least they have a first round pick in this upcoming draft. I would like them getting a big man. I don't know if there's going to be a good enough one here. I'm going to actually have them take somebody out of UAB, Yaxel Lendenborg, out of UAB in the American this year, and he can score the basketball in a lot of different ways. He's been one of the best scorers in the American this year and one of the best scorers in college basketball. He's a very good rebounder. He can play make. And I do like him in the Mike Budenholzer offense, and I think he could be a very good connecting piece. I think he could play with a bunch of different guys. I just don't know if there's a center or a big man on the board that I would take here with Sorber and Danny Wolf and Janai Broome all off the board. And then lastly at 30, we have the LA Clippers here in the first round. I think they can go a bunch of different options. I think I do like them either maybe going a Duke Diarra or possibly going Nee Clifford out of Colorado State. I do like Nee Clifford out of Colorado State. I liked him last year in the draft. I like him this year. Maybe not the most perfect three-point shooter in the world, but a good mid-range shooter, a smart player overall, and that could be somebody that the Clippers are looking at 30 if they're going to try to prioritize an NBA-ready player rather than a project player, just because of where their window is with Kawhi and James Harden. So that is going to wrap out my 2025 post-trade deadline first round NBA mock draft. Let me know what you guys think I had with maybe your favorite team in the comments below, or if you have a favorite player in this draft class that I had go to a specific team. Let me know if you like that fit or not. And if you do enjoy the mock drafts, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. I love you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.